Greetings everyone, it's Logical here and welcome to 3D Printed Terrain video log number 2. This one we will cover a floating brick, Tooth of Despair, and the problem we had with printing the wood grain. I also wanted to try printing at the highest quality possible because this is printed flat, so the layer lines for the terrain, hills and bumps are really bad, but by printing it in highest quality you can barely see it, the layer line. It turned out really good with a 0.04. Here's a problem. The brick is just floating in the air. It didn't print fully properly. So let's jump into Blender and see what's going on. Let's do a little flyby to see where the problem is. So just by going by like that, we see this side, no issues there. And there it goes. It's just floating there. There's no attachment point. So we're going to fix it now. By using one of the Blender tool, I'm just going to add some of the surface. So that surface is either going to be sand or snow, but I'm just going to add some layers to it to connect the ground with that corner of that brick. So once it's connected, you can see it will print properly without floating and losing part of the brick. Just for the fun of it, let's do a flyby inside the dice tower and see how far we can go. That's kind of fun and neat. I never tried that before. I'm just not sure how far I can go before like blocking the full screen, and that's pretty cool. In the last video, the wood grain would not print no matter what I did, and I finally found what was the reason, and it's so... But before talking about it, let's see what led to the solution, the Tooth of Despair, because I was in despair. There was a silent scream. No matter what I did, it wouldn't print the wood grain. And not only that, I also deleted the video about the Tooth of Despair. But let's recap here. No matter what thing I was doing, whenever I did the shape, it wouldn't print any of it. It would just print the native shape. I was stumped. That's when the despair part came about. I silently screamed loudly and my brain broke. So, after a long rest and reset, strong coffee, I went to the Discord I'm part of. I asked one of the great artists. I will put a link to his YouTube channel. You can learn quite a bit from him. He's just absolutely amazing. It's really helping me out watching his tutorials. I explained to him my situation and what was going on, and no matter what I did, I could not print any modification to the native shape. He was stumped too because he couldn't figure out either. It turns out our primitive mind, think of an object, you move an object from one state to another. So we work in sculpt, and then once we're done sculpting, we subconsciously go to object mode. And from object mode, we change it from a Blender file into an STL file, and it prints perfectly. And the odd shape I made looked like a tooth, so it's a Tooth of Despair. While figuring all that out, I found something huge that made a huge difference. I have been subdividing wrong all that time. When you stretch an object, you also stretch the subdivision. So when you sculpt, all your little squares called voxels are stretched into rectangles. And with rectangles, it's impossible to be precise. Once the object is selected, you do Control R, and you can break down all those rectangles into equal little square. Now you have to play with visually to adjust it. I don't know if there's a mathematical way to do it, and you have to be careful about it. It's really finicky, but at the end it works. Let's recap. Control R, it splits everything. So you have to manually roll with the scroll wheel. It's a bit hard and finicky. I haven't really mastered that yet, but you try to make little squares. And then you have to go to other facets to be able to do that and to make sure that it crosses through from the front to back, from the side to side, from top to bottom. Just have to double check and make sure that you cover all sides. And now you're good to go. You can subdivide this for higher details when you come to sculpt. And now magically the scrape tool works. You can now have soften the sides so it's not so harsh to age the wood, and it's just works now. I'm really, really happy. That's such a game changer. It will change everything. I didn't really encounter that earlier in my other designs, so it's not that it didn't really affect anything. But when it came to smaller objects like this and setting up for the next step of designing, this is a game changer. Don't forget to do that. Every time you modify the shape of an object, make sure that you fix your subdivision with Control R.